Hi, I'm Gabriella, and I'm currently on track to becoming a secondary English teacher. My unit plan focuses on 7th grade, and the objectives vary for each day just because we're going to be working on different skill sets. But on the first day, which is a Monday, I want my students to comprehend the short story that we're going to be reading and start thinking about the essential elements in this piece of literature. My goal is for my students to connect to this piece of literature, and it's a short story called 7th grade, so I think that it will help them be interested and engaged with the text because they can relate to it and make a connection, because it's about a 7th grader and his feelings being in 7th grade and what it entails. And so that's why I think my 7th graders will be able to connect with this piece of literature. My commendations are that for my first student, or for student 1, is I'm going to also have an audiobook of this piece of literature that any student can listen to. I think this will be especially helpful for students that have trouble decoding. And then for student 2, we're going to have a worksheet that we're going to be working on, and it's going to include a graphic organizer, and they're going to have to fill it out based on the essential elements of a story. And so I think this is going to be helpful because it's a visual, and I think it will help my students understand and remember the essential elements better because it is a visual. And then I'm going to tell you about my first day. So the first day, we're going to begin with completing a worksheet that has to do with the essential elements. So it has to do with like the book title, characters, plot, theme, climax, and conflict, resolution. And so I want them to fill out this worksheet based on their prior knowledge for the most part, but then we're going to go over it so that they can fill in the rest. And then we're going to read a short story called 7th grade, and I'm going to read it out loud because it's really important to continue to read out loud to your students no matter what age they are, as we read in that article. And so the first time I read it out loud, I want my students just to focus on the story and really comprehend it. And then the second time I read it out loud, I'm going to ask my students to think about the essential elements and try to apply it to this story. In addition, while I read this short story aloud to my class, they're going to have a copy, whether it's going to be on their electronic device that the school has issued or a paper copy. It's up to the student. But after we read this short story twice, which is I think going to take up the majority of the class, we're going to talk about it. And I want my students, I really think discussion is important in a class, and so I really want my students, I'm going to ask thought-provoking questions, and I want them to make connections between the essential elements and the story and how the essential elements contribute to the story as a whole. And yeah, so that's my goal for my students. And after this, I'm going to assign them a paper to write, and it's about the theme of this short story. And then we're going to talk about theme as well because it's one of the essential elements. And throughout the week then, we are going to be building up and working on this paper since it's due Friday. So then we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to work on it. And Friday they're going to come in with their final piece. And so I think this is going to be helpful because I want my students to really know the writing process and that it is a process. And yeah.